Most content creators today are obsessed with going viral. They want that one video. They chase the perfect idea that is going to explode their channel, get them millions of followers, and that's going to solve all of their content creation problems. But here's the problem. That very mindset is why so many content creators fail to achieve their goals, or worse, they get burnt out and they quit. So in this video, I'm going to share with you the 3 principles that I'm using to build Wealth Potion, not just as a YouTube channel, but as a profitable, sustainable business that leads to real impact in the lives of my subscribers. And the foundation of these principles are all based on an essay that was written nearly 20 years ago. And you may have heard of it. It's called 1,000 True Fans. So without further ado, let's dive in. What's up everyone? This is Brandon from Wealth Potion, where we discuss personal finance, business, and money in fun and simple ways so that you can learn how to build your wealth faster. And today I'm gonna provide you with a peek behind the curtain around how I'm building Wealth Potion, what principles I'm using to create the business that I've always wanted to create, all in public so that you can follow along as you learn. As I've shared in the past, one of the reasons I got involved in content creation and in the creator economy is that I saw my wife do it. For the past 2 years, she has been a full-time content creator and she has fully replaced her salary that she was making in B2B tech. And through that experience, I got to meet a ton of content creators, both in her niche of lifestyle and fashion, but also in my niche around personal finance, Bitcoin, business, money, and all of these other things. And I noticed a common challenge through the people that I've met, both online and offline, which is that many creators are focused on growing their subscribers or their followers. And it's natural, right? You go on social media, one of the first things that you look at is the number of followers or subscribers someone has. So today I'm gonna challenge this mindset a bit, and I'm gonna use this essay, as I mentioned, called 1,000 True Fans. It is an essay written in 2008, so almost 20 years ago, and it was written by Kevin Kelly, who's well known for doing many interesting things in his life, but perhaps most importantly, he was the editor at Wired magazine, and so he was very plugged in, if you will, into the latest technology trends. And in 2008, he noticed a trend happening because of the internet. Through what he was seeing in the internet landscape, he came up with this thesis behind 1,000 True Fans, which is if you are a content creator and you want to make a decent living out of content creation, all you need is 1,000 true fans. And the math behind it is actually quite simple. He basically states that a true fan is someone that will buy anything from you. They will drive 2 hours to see your band play. They will wait in line to get a signed copy of your book. They will attend a meet and greet. Whatever those things are, a true fan is someone who is genuinely in love with your content and what you stand for. And so the math behind 1,000 True Fans is if you can imagine a true fan as someone that will spend $100 per year on your products or your services or attending your events, whatever it might be, 1,000 true fans times $100 per year is $100,000. And that is a decent living. That is not a massive rich person's income by any means, but as we've discussed in previous videos like this one, you do not need to have a massive income to live a very wealthy life. And that was the core math behind his 1,000 True Fans thesis. But the math behind 1,000 True Fans isn't what's interesting here. It's the trends that he was seeing due to the internet and due to technology that makes this possible. So I'm gonna run through the 3 main trends that he noticed before we get into those 3 actionable takeaways that I mentioned around how I'm building Wealth Potion. The first thing that Kevin Kelly noticed is that the internet makes it possible for creators to have direct relationships with their customers. This is really critical in that 1,000 times $100 math, because if you have a record label or an agency that takes a 30% cut, all of a sudden you're not making $100,000 per year, you're making $70,000 per year. But with the internet, so many creators now are able to go direct and create relationships with their audience without a middleman. Just think of the many platforms that are out there. You have Kickstarter for crowdfunding campaigns. You have Patreon, where people can literally just pay you money for continuing to create your content. You even have paid subscription services like on YouTube or on Twitter or on Instagram, where you can pay monthly to support your favorite creators. And while yes, of course, these platforms do take a small cut from those fees, it is not like in the 1980s or 1990s where a record label was making 80–90% of the money and the artist was left with pennies on the dollar. This change in the relationship between a creator and their audience is completely game-changing, and it's why you're seeing so many content creators today either release their own products, or they will brand products or partner with an existing brand to release, say, a line of clothing or some makeup styles or an alcohol line. Creators are getting a much better deal than they were prior to the internet existing. The second observation Kevin Kelly made is in the way that the internet recommends content. And I'm gonna get a little bit nerdy with you here for a moment, but if you think of any statistical distribution where there's an average around a certain point, there is going to be a tail on either end. And at the end of those tails, it's what you call the long tail. This applies to practically any kind of normal distribution of data, but most importantly, it applies to sales data. So to use an example, if you think about all the books that are out there in the world, you're gonna have the New York Times bestsellers in the middle of that curve, and then you're gonna have really, really niche books off on the end of the long tail. And what online retailers like eBay, Amazon, iTunes, Netflix, what they all noticed is that, yeah, we could just sell the New York Times bestsellers, but there is so much money to be made if we also offer the long tail of books or the long tail of CDs, or pick your product, this principle applies. And so, in short, what Kevin Kelly was noticing is that your content, even if it's incredibly niche, could still be discovered on these platforms, because these platforms want to expose more and more long tail content to its users. Compare that to prior to the internet. If you grew up in a small village of 10,000 people and you really liked the bass guitar, it would be very hard for you to meet and find other bass guitarists in your village. But now, today, you go on YouTube, you can find massive YouTube channels of bass guitarists. That's just one example off the top of my mind because I play bass guitar, but you can imagine that for any incredibly niche hobby you have. I'm sure if you go on the internet, on Google or on YouTube, you can find other people interested in that niche. And Kevin Kelly actually uses an interesting thought experiment here. He says, even if your hobby is a 1 in a million hobby, like only 1 in a million people have this hobby, there are still 7,000 other people on Earth that have that hobby, and you could theoretically find them using the internet. I'm gonna speed through the third observation so we can get to those principles that I'm using to build Wealth Potion, but basically connected to this second point where there is a ton of money in these niches, Kevin Kelly observed that the big companies that say sell books or sell products aren't incentivized to go after these niches. This creates this blue ocean opportunity for smaller creators, independent people like you or I, to go after these niches that large, massive companies are probably not going to have the time, effort, or energy to go and serve. So to quickly recap the 3 kind of key takeaways from 1000 True Fans. Number 1, the internet allows you to have a direct relationship with your fans. Number 2, it makes it easier for your fans to find your niche content. And number 3, large corporations are not well suited to serve those niches. And so how am I taking those concepts and applying it to Wealth Potion? The short answer here is that I'm optimizing for finding my 1000 True Fans. And I'll share with you a quick story. There was a content creator I met here in Korea, and he has about 40,000 subscribers on YouTube. He creates personal finance content as well. He mentioned to me that out of those 40,000 subscribers, he has about 500 people that are paying monthly to be part of a premium community where they get exclusive videos, they get to do Q&A with him. And he said out of those 500, approximately 100 of them are extremely interested in doing more things with him. They want to attend events with him. They want him to put on small in-person workshops. Those are his true fans. As I was chatting with him, it reminded me that while yes, of course, you'll see a ton of content creators that have tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions of subscribers, the quality of those subscribers is very important. And there are many big creators out there that don't necessarily have a ton of true fans. And so to segue that into the 3 principles, and many of these I learned from him and the way he's approaching his content. One is I'm aiming for depth, not breadth. This is fairly straightforward, but again, I am focused on serving my subscribers the most detailed and nuanced content. Yes, of course, I could create a bunch of clickbait videos, talk about how Bitcoin's gonna go to $1 billion and you can retire off of 0.1 Bitcoin. Those types of videos will get lots of views, and I might even increase my subscriber base faster, but that is not going to really provide value to the 500 subscribers that I have today. I want to cultivate a relationship with my subscribers that makes them think, you know what, Wealth Potion provides me with so much value. If Brandon was to do a meet and greet in the future or was to release a paid membership or a product, I would want to support him. That is a very different approach than creating videos that are going to maximize views. Number 2, and this is something that I did from the get-go, which is own your audience. YouTube team, if you're watching this, I love YouTube. YouTube is wonderful. But at the end of the day, I know that I am renting my space here on YouTube. If for some reason YouTube went down, or if I had to move for whatever reason from YouTube to another video hosting service, I can't take my subscribers with me. This also applies to Instagram, to TikTok, to Twitter, to whatever social media platform you're on. If you want to own your audience, you need to have something like a newsletter or a paid community. And yes, some of you might be thinking, oh, well, your newsletter is still hosted by some company. Yes, that's true, but I can still export my email list from my newsletter platform and move to another one if I really wanted to. As mentioned, this is something that I've been doing since day 1 on Wealth Potion. In fact, I started the newsletter before I started the YouTube channel. And as long as Wealth Potion exists, there will be a newsletter so that I own my audience and I can build a more direct relationship with you all. Last but not least, it is so important to treat subscribers like people. It is very easy as a content creator to hop on a platform like this and see, oh, I have 500 subscribers, I need to get that to 1,000, and to start to think of subscribers as a growth metric, some number that needs to be hit. But at the end of the day, my subscribers aren't just a number. There are 500 people out there that appreciated my content on YouTube enough and felt like it provided enough value in their lives that they wanted to subscribe to my channel and potentially watch more of my videos in the future. They're doing that while they have a job, a family, they have their own wants and desires and fears. These are all individual people. And I think this is an incredibly important mindset when creating content, to not just think, I need to hit this next subscriber goal. A tangible example of this is practically in every video I post on YouTube. I mentioned that I love to hear from you all, whether it's in the YouTube comments or as a reply to my email newsletter, because this is not just me talking to a camera. I want to build a relationship with you all. I want to answer your questions. I want to make sure that my content is as helpful as it is to you as a person, not just the content that's going to best perform on YouTube in general. And that's it. Those are the 3 principles. I also want to highlight, of course, that I'm not perfect. I'm still learning these things. As I mentioned, I was chatting with this content creator in Korea, and it reminded me of these things, and that's why I wanted to create this video today. If you're a content creator out there, or if you're thinking about being a content creator in the future, all of these things are easier said than done. And sometimes it's just a nice reminder that, hey, the goal here is not to grow to 1 million subscribers, it's to build a community and to build a relationship with my 1,000 true fans. So if you've watched all the way through, you are probably one of my 1,000 true fans. I know from my YouTube data that it's a small portion of people that watch all the way to the end of my videos. So if you're listening to this, I really appreciate you, genuinely. And if you're here, but you're still not subscribed to the channel, of course, I would greatly appreciate you subscribing, but I'd also love for you to leave a comment. Let me know what kind of content you'd like to see in the future, what questions you have, so that I can earn your trust to be one of my 1,000 true fans in the future. As always, thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.